Here we have a brand new fragrance by Coastal Carolina Parfums. This is creatively directed by Cameron Bird, who has a channel called Carolina Fragrance Reviews, or abbreviated CFR. I'm going to leave his information down below. The perfumer is Kelly Owens, and here we have a brand new fragrance, and it's called Dixie Iris. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this release, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I tell you all about Dixie Iris, which is a sweet, gourmand-leaning iris-based fragrance or orris butter, and it's creamy, it's rich, it's smooth, there's vanilla, there's amber, there's tonka bean, there's a hint of spice in here as well on account of black pepper. I do want to start the video off first by saying that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, hit the subscribe button pretty please, hit the bell, and please give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would assist tremendously. So, Dixie Iris. This is an iris-based fragrance, as the name implies. And of course, you think of iris, you think of lipstick or a cosmetic bag. Those who know Dior Homme by Christian Dior, which was composed by Olivier Polge, you know how it gives off a bit of a lipsticky vibe. That is not what's happening in here. It's actually more complex than that. There's a lot of other ingredients happening in here as well. There's grapefruit, there's black pepper, there's sage, there's amber, there's pine wood. There's a lot of really interesting ingredients. So it does have a tendency to go a little bit dark, especially in the dry down, but you do have this creamy, rich iris ingredient that I think is wonderful. I'm excited to break down the smell for you a little bit more, but let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. As soon as you spray this fragrance on a test strip or on skin, wherever you're deciding to apply it, you're going to notice that creamy, rich iris ingredient, or that orris butter. It doesn't smell powdery, it doesn't smell waxy, but it does smell a little buttery. So it has this smoothness, which is really, really nice. And I think there's also sandalwood in here. So you have this creamy richness that's coming from the sandalwood. It marries the creamy richness of the iris. There's also tonka bean and vanilla in the dry down. So it's sweet, it's smooth, it's delectable, it's gourmand leaning, but not fully gourmand. There's a touch of spice, the black pepper, it's there, but it's not overwhelming. Sage is aromatic, and it helps to sort of break apart the fragrance, make it a little bit more diffusive, a little more ethereal. It opens it up a little bit, so it's not tightly packed into a can. And then you also have the grapefruit in the opening that provides us with its zesty appeal, but only in the initial phases of the perfume. It is fairly non-linear, so you can expect it to change a bit. It's not as zesty after that 20-minute mark, when you first apply it. As it dries down, of course, the woods come in, and it's more ambery than anything else, because you have the vanilla, you have the amber accord, and then of course you have the sandalwood, which adds to that sweetness that you're getting from the vanilla and the amber anyway. And of course, if you didn't already know, tonka bean itself has a reputation for being kind of creamy and nutty, and then you combine that with the iris, and it really creates an interesting duality, and those work in harmony with one another. All of those ingredients kind of come together and they coalesce to create this overall picture that is very smooth, very creamy, and that is the main adjective here: creamy. All of the ingredients in here contribute to that, which is really fascinating. You think to yourself, what is one aromatic ingredient that could contribute to that? What is one floral ingredient that could contribute to that? A gourmand ingredient, a woodsy ingredient, and they all come together and they're all smooth and creamy, right? The sage, the iris, the sandalwood, the tonka bean, so on and so forth. This is super easy to wear. It's so juicy, right? You almost want to sink your teeth into it, but you look at the note breakdown and you're like, wait, there's no peach, there's no apricot, which, by the way, those are ingredients featured in other fragrances from this brand, but not in here, right? There's nothing fruity, but that sweetness is so abundant that it just leaves you feeling that way. So it's a really interesting fragrance. Dixie Iris. I'm going to leave all of the information down below, not affiliate links. And this is not a sponsored video, but I am going to leave the links down below if you're interested in learning more about this fragrance or other fragrances from Coastal Carolina Parfums. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, this is a unique iris fragrance. It's unique, it's mass appealing as it says on the website, so I do certainly co-sign those sentiments. And that's because comparing it to other iris fragrances that I know of, whether that be Capricious by Histoire de Parfum or La Tessa by Masque Milano or Dior Homme or whatever the case may be, Valentino Uomo Noir Absolute, this one is quite different from all of those. Really appreciate the uniqueness and the originality that went into crafting this fragrance. Longevity is about 10 hours on skin. Projection was really good for the first hour. It radiated at an arm's length. It became an elbows length scent right around hour 7 and a skin scent right around hour 10. In terms of the versatility on this one, perfectly unisex. Anybody of any age. I think this one is great for any time of the year. I could possibly see some people not wanting to wear it in the winter time. Fall is great just because it has the black pepper, it has the vanilla, it has the amber, it has the tonka bean. Those are all fall appropriate, I would say. And then of course in the spring because of the iris, and in the summer because it is on the ethereal side of things on account of the sage. But in the winter time, they might opt for something a little bit on the heavier side of things like the vanilla offering from the same brand. In terms of the presentation, I think the presentation is quite nice. I do like the wooden cap. The labels have a different color to them. It makes it easy to distinguish one fragrance from the other. My final verdict on this fragrance is, if you're looking for an iris-based fragrance that is neither masculine nor feminine, that does not smell like lipstick, that is creamy and has a decent amount of sweetness to it, check out Dixie Iris by Coastal Carolina Parfum. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you took something of value from today's episode and today's review. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit the bell, and of course give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode.